to Soul Naked, your podcast all about embodied healing and sacred sensuality. I am Thatja Hirsch, and this podcast is intended to guide you home to your truth and feminine power. Each episode is designed to inspire you to create a pleasure-filled life that is in alignment with your soul. Let's drop the mask and dive right in.
Our infinity, our divinity.
Welcome back to the Soul Naked podcast. I'm so excited to have you here and to share an amazing, inspiring, deep conversation with Thatja. And before I introduce her, I have an announcement to make. Maybe you've already heard about it. This weekend, so January 13th until the 15th, I am hosting a 3-day immersion. So imagine all the powerful women in the industry coming together and sharing their magic in a 30-minute to 60-minute slot. So this is what I created. It's called Awaken, your Feminine Power Immersion. It's free, so make sure to sign up to save your spot. We have Sophie Josephina, we have Shoshana, we have amazing women. I forgot the name right now, the names, but you can find all the info in the show notes. Thatja is going to be there. We're all going to share our medicine in a potent session, and it's completely free. So make sure to be part of this, to feel the power of women coming together in sacred sisterhood, in a powerhouse weekend that can transform your life, that can awaken your feminine power. And before we dive into the interview, I would love to introduce Thatja. She is an international speaker, women's empowerment mentor, tantric arts devotee, and serial entrepreneur. And she is devoted to sharing the secrets to mastering the art of personal magnetism in business, love, and in all relationships. And honestly, we went into all the things. I even have difficulties naming this episode because we talked about her journey of becoming this magnetic, empowered woman. We dive deep into the relationship with her dad that was absent when she grew up, and then how she was able to forgive him. So how through forgiveness you can reclaim your power. We dive into all the things that take away your power and why connecting back to your yoni, to your womb, to your sexuality is such a powerful tool, and how you can reclaim that. So we dove into everything. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what resonates, how you enjoyed it, what you took away from it. It's really deep and, as always, so naked. So without further ado, let's welcome Thatja to the podcast. So welcome to the podcast, Thatja. I'm so excited to dive so naked with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really like the fact that I didn't have to choose any clothes. And this is the first time we meet naked. So it's like perfect.
Life how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
The first question I would love to ask you is, what does soul naked mean to you personally? What comes up?
It means to be fully seen without holding back. It means to love yourself so deeply and to trust the other so deeply, to be able to open up, to be able to show all your colors, to be able to stand in your power despite of what you think others will think. It's to fully own who you are, your journey here, your path, your story, your feelings, your truth, and sometimes even your light, and sometimes your darkness, your shadow, those things that we want to hide. I feel like being so naked is freedom. It's expression.
I loved it. And I mean, we just met like 5 minutes ago, but I can really feel that from you. And I'm curious if you take us back into your journey. Was that always the case, or did you have a point in your life where this was where you were hiding parts of you, where you weren't feeling safe to show all of you, where you were maybe in a bad relationship with yourself?
I feel like the reason why we hide is because there's something that we want to prove or something that we are not proud of ourselves. And so definitely I can, as you asked me, it brought me back to my childhood, for example. You know, I always wanted to be seen as this strong girl that had her shit together. So I felt that many times I would, you know, just pretend to be so strong and to have a plan and to have it all figured out, even as a kid. And in that journey, like growing up, you know, I became, you know, through various experiences of growth, you know, you become that strong, powerful woman, independent. There's the good side that makes you strong. But I felt that I was really afraid to being seen in my like vulnerability, in my truth, in my weaknesses, in my mistakes, you know, and I felt that for many years. And you know, I still encounter myself up until this day in moments where I want to be seen as strong, and I have to kind of like, okay, let's get naked and let's peel, let's take a piece of clothes or a piece of like a mask or something that is still on the way for this connection to really flourish. For because when you are pretending, when you're hiding your truth, there's something in between here, and what we most want is that connection, right? So yes, I definitely felt many various times in my life that I was wearing clothes that didn't belong to me.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that so openly. And I'm curious if you're open to talk about this. What family dynamics made you become this independent, strong woman on the outside? What was missing when it comes to your needs as a child that made you feel this way and made you really set up this armor around your heart to pretend everything's fine when in truth it was not?
I feel like the earliest memory, I don't know why this is coming up to me, but I remember when I was like 8 or 7, even. I was in school. I was raised by a single mother. I had family, like her part of the family, big, even taking care of me and everything, but I didn't have a dad. And that was something that, you know, it was a strong thing in the school because everyone had a dad. Most of people had one and I didn't. So the way that I used to hide would be like I would lie that I was going to travel. I would always say like I'm going to leave because I would feel like so vulnerable. I went through a lot of bullying. So I would always be saying that I would always be using that thing like I'm gonna go, I'm not gonna be here, I'm gonna go and see my dad, or I'm gonna travel, so I could feel like, okay, I don't belong here, but maybe I will belong somewhere else. Yeah, I feel like this is one thing that really came up in that stage of my life. And I did travel, but it took a disaster for my family to travel. Our family were kidnapped, and then my mother was like, okay, we're gonna travel, we're gonna get out of Brazil. And that was really fulfilling because I traveled and nobody knew me. I was a new person. So it was really cool to start new. Nobody knew you, like, you know, and then when you come back, you kind of miss where you were. So I felt that when I came back to Brazil, was really like, okay, I want to be here. I love it here. I belong here. So it was like a very early evolution and growth in my journey. You know, I left, I was like 10, and then I came back. And there's like this little girl that was far away from her family and in other countries. And then I missed to have my roots, to have this life in Brazil. So yeah, it was really special to come back. Um, and then of course, you know, the teenage years in Brazil they were really, really rough. I became a teenager. When I came back, I was like 12. And my sexuality, I started very young. My first boyfriend, I had like 13, 14 years. And it was like and they were like my boyfriends from that point on. Most of them, they were older. So I was always the youngest person in the room, no matter where I was. And so I felt that there were also moments there that I felt like I needed to grow up. I needed to grow. I need to be something that I am not in order to fit in. Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved.
Sorry, go for it.
I loved what you shared, that when you started traveling, it felt like a blank canvas, right? Nobody knew you and you could be more free and more you. But in my experience, I had a similar way growing up. Every time I went somewhere, after a while, everything comes back, right? And you take these patterns into your new life, and everywhere you go, you take everything with you. What did you bring from these years growing up without a father, always being strong, into your adult life until you worked through this? Like, what kept you out of your feminine essence and magnetism because of these patterns of your childhood that you weren't aware of by then?
Okay, long story short, whoever wants to go deep into my story, I have highlights on my Instagram. I have like 3 highlights: part 1, part 2, and part 3. So I'm gonna fast forward to the moment where my uncle, he was like my father, and he died. My uncle and my grandfather, so they both died. I was 21. They both died. And then I went to live with my biological father for the first time when I was 21 in New York City with him. And I was like devastated because I lost my 2 fathers, and now I'm gonna go live with this father. So I had some hope. And I needed to be strong, right? Because my grandfather and my uncle, they were always there for me, like financially, emotionally, to give me love and spoil me, you know, all the ways. And then when I went to live with my father, he wasn't spoiling me that much, right? And he was like, when are you gonna get a job? La 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 la. And then I ended up getting this job as a waitress, which is super normal when you're 21. It's fine. But I didn't want to. That's not what I wanted. You know, I wanted to go to school and ask him to, you know, pay for like this course. It was at FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology. I was into fashion at the time, and I asked him, "Hey, Dad, can you give me like $250 so I can pay this course that I want to do?" He's like, "No, I don't have money for this kind of things." So from that point on, I kind of like, okay, I have no one to ask money. Like I especially men, I cannot have to do my own thing. And then after a while, he kind of like kicked me out of his house as well in New York City. I didn't speak good English. I didn't have much money. And thank God I had a boyfriend still in Brazil, but we were still together. He would come to New York and he supported me with like a little bit of the rent. My mom also supported me, and I was able to move out of my father's house. And from that point on, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, grow up. Now you are a woman. You are going to become more independent than you've ever been. And so I was already kind of working since I was 17, 18. But from that point on, for me, I didn't quite have a life. It was all about work. It was work, 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 like Rihanna said. It was so much work. I would go out of the house to work and I would come back and it was New York City. It was cold. It was, you know, I would live to pay my bills. And then I started getting acne and my body started hurting so much because I was overworking. My heart, like I was in love with this. I broke up with my boyfriend and then I met someone else and I was so in love. I remember my heart, like I couldn't breathe sometimes. It hurt so much. I remember until today, like how much I never had my heart hurting like that so much. It would hurt. My body would hurt. My face was full of acne. I was so white. I didn't have a life. I was getting, chubby because I was eating all these horrible things, not really taking care of myself. And New York City life, I thought like, this is it. This is New York City life. And if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And I was like trying to prove myself, going left and right to make it good. But then at some point I was like, get me a ticket to Bali. I need to nourish myself because I was like in a verge of breaking down. And I had other phases that also taught me, but that was one of them. So yeah, that really taught me how resilient I was because I bought this ticket to go to Bali 6 months before. And then I signed up for a New York Film Academy to learn film making because I wanted to have a travel show. I was like, I'm going to interview people all over the world. I'm going to have a travel show. And so I went to do this program, but I had to quit my job, right? I had to quit my job in order to attend the program. It was full time. So I didn't work for 3 months. So all my savings, I paid this program, this New York film program. And then I spent all my money with rent and food and all the things. And then at the end, I was 10 days before going to Bali. I was like, okay, now I don't have even money to be in Bali. I don't have money to pay my rent when I come back. So what I did, I was like, I found someone to take over my lease. I sold everything that I owned and I put everything in the storage. And I went to Bali and I never came back for like a few years. And that was the best decision of my life. It really changed a lot for me. And I started creating my own brand there. I started doing my own thing.
Wow.
And yeah, and again, like I went into I feel like we have to go through a few lessons sometimes in order to learn fully. We have to go over and over again. So I got to Bali, I got a job, but it was a beautiful office. I got a job as a fashion designer. My because I had so much like the hustle mentality of New York and I am from Rio de Janeiro, it's also like you're like smart, like you're in the city, you are like aware, it's like fast life. So I was always like super, energized to make my dreams come true. I'm not saying that all people that from Rio and New York are like that. I was just in my nature. I've been always a very passionate person to make a difference, to do something that gives me fulfillment. But many years I didn't live like that. And then I had to go through all these stories, in order for me to learn and finally promise myself that I would never work for anybody else and I would do the things I love and I'm passionate about. And I feel like this is really coming back into our truth, into our essence. not even talking about feminine or masculine, but like to our truths. Because some people, they love to work for a corporation, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need that, right? For many years I was like, oh, you work for like corporates, blah. But there are people that love it and they need that security. For me, I'm more like freedom. I want expansion. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I don't want anybody suppressing like whatever my creativity wants to do. So yeah, I have a few stories, I feel like, that I can go on and on about how disaligned I was with my feminine.
What a story. Thank you for sharing. And I feel so many women can resonate with that. It doesn't have to be New York and this extreme hustle life, but we are raised in a society where we are so conditioned that we have to hustle and we have to do something. And even when we're resting, we already think about the next thing and we feel guilty that we're resting. And this is completely out of alignment with our nature as a feminine being. And I'm curious, the years in Bali, when you really went deep into your healing, what shifted inside of you that allowed you to change the way you lived your life and the way you, I feel it's not about what we do, but how and why we do it. Like, what shifted inside that you finally found peace within yourself and came back to your feminine essence?
Yeah, so I feel like it was not even in that phase in Bali. I think I had a few more. I went to Miami, I went to New York, and da da da. And for me, it was the fact that I feel like heartbreak in love really kind of like crushed me so many times and then what really propelled me to go for healing was to heal my relationship with the masculine, and also coming back obviously to my essence, my true deep essence, which is mostly feminine. I do have a lot of also masculine energy traits, I feel. But yeah, I can tell you, like, this journey of healing, it's not linear. And until today, I still work on things, and everyone, I feel like people are usually putting others on a pedestal, especially like the therapists, the coaches, the mentors, and we are all here for it. Like, there is no one that doesn't have to go through that process, no matter where we are. So I feel like the biggest lesson for me is to really be comfortable in the void. Really be comfortable where I am, because I am not where I was, and I'm not where I will be, but I'm here, and we're all here. We're all in the same place. I feel this is one of the biggest lessons, even coming now to Maui. I came here after going through a huge crash on a business partnership. Like, I kind of got deceived, not wanting to be the victim, because I am responsible, because I learned that when you're doing a partnership, you gotta have a contract. You gotta put it all on the paper. And I was kind of like a little bit like la 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 la, trusting this is so much fun. I didn't see any problem coming, because I was trusting the person. I was believing in them, and it's beautiful to believe. But when it comes to like business, and even, yeah, I feel like the most important thing for us all is to stop trying to rush to the next thing. Is to sometimes I think in my life, if I take you hindsight, if I show you my past, I have traveled and traveled and traveled to so many places in my life, and that really served me. I have seen the world with my own eyes. I have experienced the world, all my senses, and that's so valuable. And there were parts also that I was running from in that journey, I feel. And also, like, I play with my girlfriends. Are you depressed? Just buy a ticket. Some people stay home and they watch Netflix. I buy a ticket. And it's like everything there's, you know, you can look at it bad or good, but nothing is good or bad. It is what it is. It's gonna serve you. I personally, rather have a condition of like, oh, I will buy a ticket, and then obviously you bring that with you, like you said. Some of the things you bring with you, some of the things you can heal as you go. You don't necessarily leave it all behind. Some things, they come with you, and it's okay if they come with you. You're gonna still have opportunities to heal them, right? Even when you travel. So when you ask me like what happened in Bali, the thing is, I stayed in Bali for, I think, was a year. And then I started traveling again because I ran away because I had a heartbreak. And then I went to Miami, and that's when the healing started to happen for me. I joined this program, this coaching program, because I felt that I really needed to heal my relationship with my dad. And I couldn't forgive him for what he did. And I forgave everyone. I forgave even my ex-boyfriend that tried to kill me, And how come I cannot forgive my dad? So for me, that was puzzling. And I was like, I'm going to find that key of forgiveness. And then in that journey, I understood that forgiveness doesn't come with justice. Sometimes we want justice, and only then I am going to love myself or love that person. Only then, when it's fair, only then. But forgiveness comes with grace. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Grace is just love. Grace is just unconditional love for ourselves and for others. Like, we make mistakes. I love the kitchens here. They're so the rooster. We all make mistakes, and we sometimes put our parents on a pedestal. We put our boyfriends, our whatever, our girlfriends, and we are so hard with people. It really allowed me to be less hard with myself. I was being so hard with myself for so many years, and to the point where I was like trying to take responsibility in order to forgive my dad for what he did. I was like, maybe it was my fault. I was trying to find somewhere how can I? And there was no way. And sometimes you just need to, like, I have compassion for this person. I have compassion for myself. It was a mistake. I don't forgive because he's sorry. I forgive because I want to set myself free. I forgive because now I understand that we're all here on a journey, and this happened for me in order for me to grow and evolve into the woman that I am today. In order for me to grow and evolve into the woman that doesn't need others in order for the healing to take place. Because if we're constantly expecting the other to show up for us in order for us to do the healing process, there are going to be a lot of wounds unhealed within us, because not everyone is capable of showing up for you energetically in the moment that you need, or even ever. So we must learn how to do these processes within. And I feel like in my journey, one of the things that I'm most proud of in this journey is that I can deal with pain, right? I can sit with pain, and look it in the eye and face it and own my parts of it, and like own it. Okay, I made a mistake, and it's an ego death, especially when people are looking. Because if you make a mistake and nobody knows, it's fine. But if you make a mistake and there are other people looking, most people will deny. Most people will deny, and they're going to even like manipulate for you in order for you to believe that you are wrong. Like that, like let's say I made a mistake, and because people are looking, I will manipulate the situation in order for people to believe that I am not the wrong one, even though I know I could have done better. Instead of me apologizing, owning my mistakes, I'm sorry, how can we make it better? No. Then I feel like this is like the root. I think I'm talking too much, but I feel like we got into a place here that many people can relate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm grateful you shared that, because sometimes we think only if this person, comes to us and apologizes, or only if this happens, we stay in this place of victim and we wait until someone comes and saves us, until we feel worthy, until sometimes life strips these people and these situations and burns us to the ground, and the good girl dies and the version of us dies that was waiting, and in the ashes. And that's the void you were talking with. Every rebirth, we don't know what's coming out on the other side, and it feels scary, but the more we lean into that, the more we can rise and really establish our wings and be the most empowered version that takes responsibility. And that's emotional maturity. Most of us live in an adult body with an hurt inner child inside of them, and that continues to be passed down through generations. Like if you didn't hear that, you probably would have passed that down to your children, right? And I feel this is so connected to feminine power, to take that ownership back and to say, I stop here, I stop waiting, I stop wanting, I stop needing. I find that power and everything I need from outside within myself, and I nurture my inner child. I give myself the love that I didn't receive from my parents. I give it to me. I don't need them to give that to me. And I work with women that are in their 60s and they sit in front of me and they cry and they say, I think my parents are never going to give it to me. And then I say, okay, it stops today. You stop waiting. You give that love that you're craving to that inner girl. And that's when everything shifts. Your complete energy shifts when you stop outsourcing that. And I would love to hear, how did the relationship to your dad change after you forgave him and after you stopped, from that place of neediness? I need you to apologize, but you come back into your power and wholeness without him maybe even knowing. What shifted that in the dynamic with man, with money, with your dad, everything what the masculine represents?
I love this question, and it's a triggering question because right now I'm choosing not to speak with him, not from a place of hurt, but from a place of it's like I don't consider him, like, he never raised me, honestly. Like, he was never present ever. He never helped with anything, and he's just a person that I tried to make him my dad. My dad, my father's their dad. It was my uncle and my grandfather, and that I feel it so deeply, this connection with them. With this father, biological father, which I'm so grateful for him. He gave me life. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. He gave me life. For so many years, I held back from telling this story about my father because he didn't want to look bad in front of society. And I understood that at some point, we have to do our thing. We cannot be held back by a parent that doesn't really even show up for you. It's like, doesn't want me to talk about my life. It's my life. It's not about him, it's about me. It's about my life. And so I feel like, actually, yeah, like 10 months ago, in February 2022, I sent him a message because I wanted to bring up something that happened 10 years ago in the hope that he evolved. And in this conversation, he said to me that he never chose to have me as his daughter, and that he said a few things to me, and that in another moment would have destroyed me. But in that moment, I was able to forgive him for what he did to me, because I understood it's not about me. What he did, it's not about me. It's who he's choosing to be. And I don't know what life experience shaped him to be that way, but I'm compassionate. I'm sure he went through a lot to be like that, you know? So I feel like what I feel, it's like I don't feel any desire to have him around. And, you know, sometimes people don't disclose those parts, especially us, the healers, the coaches, you know, sometimes things are how they are. And we just like, yeah, there's a part of me that wish he was different, but he's not, right? He's who he is. And we cannot change people unless they want to change. So what I feel today is a lot of compassion and gratitude for him being my, you know, the one that gave me life. And not only that, I have gratitude for all the lessons. He's a beautiful person too. He has a beautiful side that I love. He's a happy person. He chose to go on a path, you know, that made him this way. You know, I have done a lot of work in myself, and I'm sure that if he ever chose to look at in himself and acknowledge his mistakes instead of like reflecting back, like I said before, if he's like, you know what, I am sorry, it would all that I wanted something and that I didn't get in that phone call. All that I wanted was for him to tell me, Thatja, I'm so sorry. I know I made a mistake. Like I apologize. I love you. You're my daughter. Should never have done that. That's what I wanted. In turn, I received, I never chose to have you. And so from that point, what do? I already had evidence of that he will never be the person. Had that evidence, but I still have hope. And I'm just not gonna be blindly hoping that. And you know, so I'm like, I'm going to protect my little heart, my little girl within me. I'm gonna take care of this little girl. I'm going to say, I love you and bye. So, and I honestly, I feel like it's great. It's great. It could be better, but it doesn't depend on me. I have done my part. I'm in peace with my part. And I'm sure so many people can relate. Like, we can do what we can do. We can show up better this time. I have done everything. I have done years and years of therapy, coaching, healing, all the things in order to have a good relationship with him. And it improved tremendously until last February, when I brought up again this conversation that I decided to take a distance. But until then, everything was fine. I just choose, you know, right now to be on that position.
I feel that's the biggest act of self-love sometimes that we can do. We can't change people, and if it hurts us hoping for something they can't give us because they are still in their stories and they don't do their part of healing, you can do your part. And if they still choose to hurt you in that way, it's your, you know, your protection and your birthright to say, even though you're my father, I don't want you in my life, and I forgive you and I love you, but I choose to not be with you. And I mean,
Yeah.
no one knows what comes in the future, but
And you know, like
sorry.
I said, like I said, it's like, okay, he is the father, but also like he's a person that had, you know, sex with a wonderful woman. And then I was born. So it's like we're like kids, and then we have babies, and then all of a sudden we are like parents. And it's not like some people change, some people don't. Some people get better if they want to, some people don't. So yeah, we have to respect everyone's journey, everyone's timing. I feel like I respect his timing. I'm for love and for real amazing conversations of openness. I'm always available.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that so openly. When you were talking, it reminded me so much of that movie. I think it's called The Shack or something. Have you seen that?
No.
It's about that man whose daughter gets taken away and killed, and his whole life shifts from that point, and he's really resentful and angry towards that man until he gets an invitation from God to the same shack. And then he meets God and he sees the story, gives you goosebumps. He sees the story of this man who raped this girl. He sees that he was being punished from his father, and he can see how it was passed down. And from this pain, he did this, and he could forgive from that and change his life into freedom and love again. But yeah, it's hard inner work to forgive someone who doesn't say sorry when we need it, to take that power back. And that's also feminine power, right? To take that power back, to not wait any longer, to not outsource that love and validation, to choose I'm completely worthy and whole just by being me, and that I know my worth. I don't need you to say sorry anymore. I'm not waiting any longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, go for it.
I was just saying, absolutely. And I think like we have devoted most of our lives for that topic. Like, let me take my power back. Let me take my power back in my relationships, in my business, in my love life, in like my friendships, everywhere, in each
Oh
and
my
every
God.
moment. And like, it's not, life is constantly testing us, right? So every time that something takes our power away, there's this practice that I do to bring me back to the highest consciousness, which is I close my eyes, I put my hands in my heart, my belly, and I say to myself, I'm the power and the presence of God, universe, goddess, whatever you want to say, whatever resonates with you. I say, like, I am universal, infinite, universal wisdom. This is not real. This is an illusion created by my consciousness. So as an opportunity for me to take my power back. And then I open my palms, and I feel my power surging through me. I feel my power coming back to me. And the power and presence of God, the goddesses. I am powerful. And then I remind, this is an illusion. This is not real. This is only here in order for me to be able to reclaim my power. And the more that we reclaim our power when those situations appear in our lives, the more we kind of like release those wounds, those blocks, those eggs of trauma and karma. The more that we release and reclaim, sometimes you have to do over and over again, especially with money, especially in love, especially like a relationship, a rejection, those lower frequency emotions. It's, yeah, when they show up, they're here as a creation. We created it. Let's face it. Yeah. We created all the bullshit that is going on in our lives, like all the good and all the bad. How magnificent creators are we? We're such magnificent creators. We create good, we create bad, we create anything that we desire with like the power of our consciousness. So like, how are we creating? How are we moving through life? The feminine, how is that movement? How are you being moved by life? Like, how are we choosing? Are we choosing to move like with fear, when those things happen, I feel like this is now going to be a phase in my life where I will perhaps not, I'm not putting that into the universe. Maybe I shouldn't even say that, but like I'm very into astrology. I'm very much into astrology. I'm very in tune with it because my mom is an astrologer. So I have like Mars in Gemini, and right now it's Mars in Gemini is retrograde. I don't know by what time you're gonna upload this, but it's gonna be until like January, I think, 12, 2023.
Yeah, it will be out on the 9th. So
okay,
it's,
so yay for you guys! It's not anymore retrograde. Yeah. So and then I will spend my birthday here in Maui, and my chart, my solar return, that's how, like, every year wherever you are in the world will differ. So you're gonna have a whole new chart for the year with the energy for the year. And my mom every year tells me where I should be, and this year is here. Of course, not everything can be perfectly planned because the universe has other plans. But with that being said, I feel I will have some Mars in Gemini in my 7th house, which is the house of relationships. So I feel that one of the biggest things that I'm going to learn is how not to react compulsively to the things, to people, in relationships, not to go into a fight, like really harness that emotional intelligence that I have been working for so many years already on it. Like, how can you be so connected to your body that you not only feel but you observe? And how can you control that in a way that you don't react immediately, and you're just like, feel how does my body's feeling, what is going on, okay, this is what's coming up, and then do what you got to do, which is in the best way possible, whatever the next step is. Sometimes it's just like stepping out and going into your room and screaming into the pillow. Sometimes it's, I need a moment, say something. Or sometimes it's, I really love you, not available for this. Knowing how to put your boundaries, I feel like it's something that it's so feminine. It's so, and men and women, I get so many compliments because the way that I put my boundaries is so loving. It's so respectful, and I really care for the people. Like, when I'm putting a boundary, I'm not only putting a boundary to take care of me. When I'm putting a boundary, I am taking care of me, but I'm also thinking about how this is going to affect you. So I'm seeing in a loving way, right? And that's going to benefit everyone, even the people that are watching you putting the boundary, even the person receiving, even the way that the next time, how she's going to communicate that, her own boundary, because now she has permission.
Yeah. Yes. Can you give an example of how you set a boundary for those who are like having a hard time setting boundaries, how you can do that in a really loving way?
Yeah. Okay. So let's say, all right, let's give an example. For example, let's think about something. Let's say, okay. Let's say that a girlfriend, like you have a girlfriend over, and anyone has that girlfriend that you love, but she's always complaining about men, about a relationship, and then when you're trying to support, because she's coming to you, let's say someone comes to you and then they are in the loop of not wanting to transform and change. They just want to talk, right? Like, and yes, you can talk, but sometimes I feel that there are moments that you either go into a meditative state of like, how can I become better instead of always blaming the other, or you just like accept feedback for your growth. And what happened, like this happened recently, that's why I'm giving this. A person that a friend, a girlfriend, no, she came and she was like talking nonstop about the same thing for 2 hours. Like in the beginning, we are like loving and we are supportive and everything, but after 2 hours and in the loop of saying the same things and not accepting any feedback, there's a moment where like we have to protect our energy. For example, let's talk about protecting your energy from people that are constantly in a negative state. Not saying that she was, but let's say like you have someone that in your life that is constantly talking bad about people behind their back, or they are complaining about their relationship but not changing, not doing anything, putting all the blame and they keeping the loop and all the things, like just like conversations that are dragging the energy down, right? Because when you're talking constantly about that, drags everyone's energy down. So the best way for me, I feel it's like, you want to express your truth and with love, you can give your perspective for one last time, say, bring the facts, or you can even say like, my illusion when you're giving a feedback is only your feedback, it's not the truth. You see, my illusion, my imagination is telling me that we are on a loop right now. And as much as I want to support you and be here for you, I think we can, schedule another time when we can have a different perspective, because now we're not going anywhere with this. And I'm feeling like the energy that I want to be today is different. I want to enjoy this day or this night. And I want to invite us to talk about a different topic and have different type of conversations. And absolutely, if you need later to come back to this, I'm available. But right now, I would like to change this energy for something else. Is that all right? I love you, okay? All right, thank you. Boom.
I love that example. How did she react to that boundary?
It was like, oh my God, of course, I'm so absolutely. And then there was a part of me, and that would probably happen. She was absolutely, of course, no, I totally know. I'm going in a loop. She was like, I understand. I'm definitely doing that. Yes, let's talk about something else, because she was not gonna stop. She was gonna keep saying the same things. And she knew that. And what she said is that, and then there was a part of me that I felt like, am I not being a good girlfriend? Am I not being a good friend? There was a part of me that felt that. And I was like, you know what? No, I am loving myself and showing them how to love themselves. And she will get what she needs. This is not something that it's, and it depends, I'm a very sensitive person. I can read people. I know if a friend like is going through something that it's like, they really need then it's like, okay, we schedule time for this. Or if it's in the moment, I don't know, there's like occasions and occasions. We need to be, very tailored for each situation is different in life. This is one example. But there could be other ways, there could be other ways. That could be in relationships, like sexually. There could be another way, like let's say, tell me something that ever happened to you that you wish you didn't, that you're comfortable with. Now I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, in my last relationship, I have this always, like, if I don't feel an emotional connection, if I don't feel safe, my body doesn't open. And that means sometimes there's weeks of no sex. Even though I'm a very sexual person, my body just is a complete no, and then I don't do it. And at one point he was telling me like his ex-girlfriend wanted sex every day and this is not normal, and he tried to tell me all the things. And because back then I went through this whole trauma healing thing and I wasn't in my power, I wasn't in my truth, I started doubting, like, maybe there is something wrong with me. This happened before. Like, I was really going into the like self-doubt circle instead of like saying I know my truth and this is what I feel, and if I don't feel safe, I can't, and I don't want to force her to open up. Like, I just don't feel like having sex with you right now. But I was going into the loop, and looking back, this was not the truth. I was taking on someone else's truth or projection on me because he needed validation from me in order to feel good. I didn't stand in this, and I was questioning myself, and I was sad, and I was doubting myself. And looking back, I would have set a clear boundary. Like, if I was in my power now, I would definitely say in a loving way, like, what I feel and what I need, and that this is not an acceptable behavior for me right now.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing this. I feel like a lot of women go through it. A lot of women go through like shame around not being turned on and not wanting, like almost like I have to give them sex or sexual energy or something in order to be loved, in order to be totally. And I feel this is such a powerful topic. I think we could do a whole podcast.
We do another one.
I mean, this is like that freaking topic, I think, to put it for a podcast, because so many women, so many, like, it's incredible how this is something that is like a common thing, but not women that it's just doing it in order to be part of it, to be accepted, to be loved. And so like there is so much power just for fun. Just say no when it's really no, just for a change. Like, let's just like really hear and listen and honor. That's when the fuck yes, and then the fuck yes comes after, when you say your fuck no. When you honor so much, even if it's gonna come a little bit of chaos, at least it's truth. At least you're not having half sex. We have all been through it, and then you have like horrible sex, you feel used, you feel like a victim of your own actions, right? It's like, and then you even resent the other person for touching you, having sex with you, because you didn't say no, a strong no, a strong boundary. This is such a big lesson for us women.
I feel that's even worse than the fact itself that we betrayed our intuition. I've been in a relationship with a narcissist, emotionally abusive, and this was the hardest part when I healed from that I knew, and I still overstepped my emotional needs and my radar that said something is wrong. And I almost took on the belief I'm the crazy one because he wanted me to believe that. And I feel this topic that you just shared, that when we say yes, even though our body is a no, I have kind of the luck that she just shuts down. She's like literally drying out. If she's not open, she doesn't even allow someone next to her. So I didn't sleep with him. But there are so many women I work with that push through, and that's how we create trauma in our wombs, in our yonis. We create tension, and that's when the real work starts around sexual healing and coming back to the remembrance of our sacred sensuality, because no one holds power over that unless you allow it. And when we are in our truth, and that comes back to also being connected to our wombs and our yonis, that's when no one can fuck with us. No one can tell us you should be ready right now. Your body knows. If there's something off, even if it doesn't make sense, she knows, and she will put the boundary, even if that means that person leaves. She's not afraid of being left because she chooses herself. Am I talking about yoni? Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's nothing more important than having a deep connection with your yoni, your vagina, your pussy, however you want to call. It's like becoming friends, becoming like really connected. it's something that really changed my life. Like just sitting in front of a mirror naked and, looking at your yoni and just like, and sometimes, scooping her and saying, I'm so sorry for all the times that I didn't listen to you, all the times that I didn't respect you and your boundaries. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. I'm here for you. Like creating that connection it's like an inner child too. It's like when you talk to your inner child, we got to talk with our vaginas too,
with our breasts too. Like this is
love
so
that.
potent work. How much shame we carry around how our body looks. We are part of nature. I was
Oh my,
guiding a session last week where we did this mirror gazing with our yonis, and we did a sharing after, and it brought me into tears because it was this sacred remembrance of our truth. If you connect back to her, you remember your truth. And all of these women said, wow, I never question her beauty again, because this is something that for some reason society tells us how our yonis are supposed to look like. Only humans do that. We would never say to a flower, oh my God, you're so ugly, you're not normal, you're less worthy because your leaf is a little bit shorter than the one next to you. Like, I'm not going to look at you, you're disgusting. But for some reason, humanity, I think because the yoni holds so much power, this was taken away. And then these lies were created that were passed down, and we created this layer of shame and guilt and hiding. And when we come back by also apologizing, like you said, to just hold your breasts, your yoni, and to say, I'm sorry that I believed those lies all those years. I can see your beauty now. I remember the sacredness of my body, and I'm sorry I didn't listen. This
yeah,
is reclaiming your power through your body.
yeah. If women only knew how many different shapes and sizes and colors exist, like, we think because there's porn, people think there's only one kind of vagina, the little pinky, whatever vagina. But like, honestly, it's like there's these vaginas are rare, and most of vaginas are really like all kinds of like flowers, all different shapes, sizes, colors, and they're all beautiful, they're all gorgeous. Learn how to love it. I didn't love my vagina until I started looking at it and loving it. So it's like anyone, I believe, I know, because I have seen so many women. I have witnessed women saying, I hate my vagina. And after one night, I told them what to do. They came back to me. They're like, oh my God, I'm in love. She's so beautiful. I can't believe I didn't think she was beautiful. They cried. It's like, it's insane, the healing that takes place when a woman loves her vagina, and the diseases that you can have in your body, in your sexual organs, in your uterus, in your breast, the diseases that you can pick up from being disconnected. It's serious. This is like a serious conversation that I'm so glad we're having. Yeah.
Yeah. We're both so passionate about this because it can change the world if we all come back to our power and connect back to the sacredness of our sensuality and our wombs. I mean, we can receive a soul through our body. Does this make sense? No. Of course, we are pure magic, and we have to remember that and not shame it and
Yeah.
reclaim.
Of course, we're gonna unite and be all naked and create rituals. We are freaking temples. Like, this is like magic. We are magic. We are walking magic. We are pure magic. This is like divine intelligence operates this thing. It's like we're part of a system, an organism that is so magnificent. And the fact that we're here today and we don't even know why, it's like, okay, there is a huge mystery here, and I'm so glad I'm part of it. I have a chance to be sensual in this experience. What is sensual is be activated in your senses. It's like whoa. Sensual. Whoa. It's like your senses, you can feel it, right? A sensual woman. It's like you are, whoa. You can feel, you look at things in a different color. You taste things like it's more. You feel the taste of things with your whole body. You look with your whole body. You smell with your whole body. The more you can connect all of your senses when you touch. Oh, how does that your spine like really going deep into the practice of being present with your senses. I feel it's the feminine way. And this is how we become open. And this is how we come back to our center and become the muse for the world.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel we are the ones that have to do this. Like, we have the privilege that we can do this. Our ancestors, they didn't have the chance. There were times where we didn't even have the right to vote not too long ago. There are countries still where we are not free in our expression, what we're wearing, how we show up in the world. And if we have the privilege to do that, I feel we have to do this work. We have to stand up, to speak our truth, to say enough is enough, to feel our emotions, to connect back to our primal power. Amen. Okay.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Let's close the conversation here. I loved having you. And there's one last question I ask all of my podcast guests, and I invite you to close your eyes for this one. If you could tell a younger version of you something you learned along your journey that would have helped you, what would you say to her?
Be patient, child. You're gonna get there. Enjoy the road, enjoy the journey. Be free, be carefree, enjoy, play more, and believe in yourself. You're gonna get way more than you ever imagined.
What age did you see?
Like teenager. Like teenager, maybe like 16, 17, 18, something like that.
I love that. So how can people connect with you, find your magic in the world?
I feel best way would be Instagram, because it's my the social media I'm most active. So feel free to shoot me a DM. Let me know what you got from this, and who knows, I might have a little gift for you. They can sign up to my newsletter, because my newsletter, most of the time that's where I tell things first and then social media second. Yeah, I have Facebook too. Feel free to add me there, become friends. Yeah,
I will add you in the show notes. Thank you so much for this conversation.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Tanya. It was beautiful, and I hope that we can hang out in person naked. And
yes, we will bathe our yonis in Morea one day.
yeah, Maria, I really want to come visit you.
Let's make that happen.